Hello, this is Amy, and for the next hour, I will be reading from the Sunday, June 14th issue of the Democrat and Chronicle on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Cover story: Rochester Institute of Technology, Curtain Time. Striking architecture defines RIT's new performing arts building. Bold new arts center unveiled. No brick to be found. RIT's newest venue showcases a mix of modern design while preserving the past. Steve Howe, Rochester Democrat and Chronicle. Henrietta. Rochester Institute of Technology boasts the region's newest live venue, and there's not a single brick to be found in the structure. Architect Michael Maltzin drew other inspiration from around Brick City in the design of the 747-seat RIT Performing Arts Center, including the large murals by Joseph Albers that flank the lobby of George Eastman Hall. Inside, green and pink are in plentiful supply on a campus dominated by orange and black. The stunning white facade greets visitors, a bright contrast to the RIT blend bricks that make up the original campus. While it doesn't replicate buildings exactly, it tries to bring a lot of the core ideas of the campus into a building that's a very contemporary and trying to capture the spirit of where RIT is now, Maltzin said. The Los Angeles-based architect was among the dignitaries on hand for the ribbon cutting for the new facility on April 10th. The Performing Arts Center features a state-of-the-art theater with 2 balconies and 75 speakers for immersive sound. It's flanked by a rehearsal room, 3 dressing rooms, and space for an antique theater pipe organ. Preservation is part of the center's broader mission. The Barton Opus 234 theater pipe organ was previously housed in a 1927 Detroit theater and is being restored for installation. The preservation of the organ and the opportunity it represents for new composers and performers reflects the goal of the new venue, first proposed by then-President David Munson in 2017. I think that's so much a part of the goal of this building, to do things that, of course, honor the past, but also to make a space that really makes a creative future possible, Maltzin said. It's not just a chance for the musically inclined either. Rooms for costume design and props and sets are kitted out with sewing machines, CNC machines, and other equipment. The rooms have large glass windows allowing passers-by on campus to watch the students at work. Those behind-the-scenes looks are a feature of this center's design. With the Performing Arts Center, we were trying to make sure that a lot of the activity and the sense of the spirit and really the creativity taking place inside felt like it was really projecting outwards, Maltzin said. In that way, the building is a kind of very colorful lantern of creativity. Fifth-year student Jeffrey Goss, a dual major in mechanical engineering and performing arts scholar, said he's proud to see the direction the program is heading with the opening of the new venue. The investments in the musical infrastructure at RIT have been incredible, and I feel so fortunate to have access to the resources we do. When I first came to RIT, I never imagined we would have something like this theater on campus, Goss said in remarks at the ribbon-cutting ceremony. Ground was broken on the 747-seat theater in September 2023. For Munson, who retired as president in 2025, it was the completion of a long-held vision for the performing arts at RIT. It's a place where students from every corner of the university will come together, not just to perform, but to collaborate and learn from one another in ways that extend far beyond the classroom, he said. Steve Howe reports on suburban growth, development, and environment for the Democrat and Chronicle. An RIT graduate, he has covered myriad topics over the years, including public safety, local government, national politics, and economic development in New York and Utah. About your DNC team. Today's internships help shape future journalists. Michael Killian, Executive Editor, Rochester Democrat and Chronicle. Late spring is the time of year when interns find themselves flocking to many of America's newsrooms. It is a rich tradition in which today's journalists help shape the reporters and photographers and videographers of tomorrow. An internship in any field requires courage and dedication. Suddenly, you find yourself with an opportunity to work in your chosen field, surrounded by people who have already had years or even decades to hone their craft. And when you are a news intern, it is a high wire act in the sense that your work is put out there for all the public to see. Spell a name incorrectly and it's impossible to hide. That said, many interns manage to do remarkable work during the summer, going from tentative beginner to, well, more confident beginner. Indeed, one summer in Cincinnati, when I was working there, a University of Kansas student and summer intern did some insightful, well-read stories that truly stood out. Oh, and she contributed a little bit to a local team whose work won the Pulitzer Prize for local reporting. Quite a summer for that intern and for the rest of that newsroom. The Democrat and Chronicle is hosting several summer interns in 2026. Here is a little bit about them. Corey C.J. Leathers is a University of South Carolina student who holds down our annual Rochester Neighborhoods internship. In his first week, he was already out and about meeting residents of the Bull's Head neighborhood, whose changing fortunes 2 previous interns had examined 5 years ago. In the next 2 months, CJ will be providing updates about life in Bull's Head and also in at least 2 other neighborhoods for which the Democrat and Chronicle has provided earlier coverage. Laura Lemgruber and Alexander Wojcik are 2 students in the Syracuse University S.I. Newhouse School of Public Communications, working in police accountability internships. They are part of a grand tradition of Newhouse School students going back more than 5 years and shedding light on long-hidden police disciplinary records and exploring needs and solutions involving better policing. Look for some insightful journalism later this year that includes perspectives of police chiefs and citizens alike, bolstered by revelatory information gleaned from our police records database. Aaron Jones and Beyonce Thomas Reynoso are 2 State University of New York students who are working for us this summer thanks to the SUNY Institute for Local News. Aaron, a SUNY Brockport student, worked in such an internship last summer with us. She covered online trending news. This summer, she will work on feature topics of local interest, including some tied to food and retail outlets. For her part, Beyonce is a University at Buffalo student who has worked for the student newspaper, The Spectrum. She will own Aaron's 2025 role this summer, covering trending news. Finally, Katie Mae Shalone, a Nazareth University student, will pursue useful stories about local caregivers and caregiving resources. The DNC has covered such topics in the past, thanks to the New York and Michigan Solutions Journalism Collaborative, of which we have been a member for many years. Special thanks to the collaborative for making Katie Mae's internship possible. 6 internships, 6 opportunities for today's journalists at the DNC to help shape the reporters and photographers and videographers of tomorrow. Please join me in wishing all 6 interns well. Exciting journalism ahead. Mike Killian is an executive editor. Reach him at mkilian@usatodayco.com. Inspiration. Ontario County's first family homeless shelter opens. Mike Murphy, Rochester Democrat and Chronicle. This spring, Ontario County's first emergency homeless shelter for families is beginning helping those in need. Family Promise of Ontario County and the Molly and Ed Schill Cares Foundation, which funded the purchase of the property and set their homelessness project forward on May 8th, hosted a grand opening of the extensively renovated Schill Family Center on North Main Street in Canandaigua. It comes more than a year after ground was broken at the site and more than 2 years after the plan was approved by the city. Ed Schill called the opening a monumental day for Canandaigua and Ontario County and truly transformational for Family Promise and how it serves families because the center will begin addressing a real need in the community. This is way overdue for the people in our community who are just looking for a safe place to live, Schill said during the opening. Why is there a need for the Schill Family Center in Ontario County? The center, which is in a restored cobblestone building that had been vacant for some time, will provide temporary shelter, short-term is the operative term, and support services for up to 7 families, or about 30 people at a time. Families are now being vetted according to Todd Bernhardt, Executive Director of the nonprofit Family Promise of Ontario County, which works to prevent and end family homelessness. And it's not a moment too soon. Bernhardt said 24 families, or about 100 people in the county on any given night, may be in need of emergency shelter. The need is growing and it's a problem, Bernhardt said. How will the Schill Family Center help Ontario County families? The services provided at the Center for Families goes beyond emergency shelter. Families will be able to receive individualized case management, housing assistance, employment support, help with financial independence, and other services designed to help them get back on their feet and living in their own homes. They deserve dignity, Bernhardt said. They deserve hope. I know we're going to be able to make a difference to a lot of children and families for decades to come because of this. Hope is the theme at Schill Family Center in Canandaigua. State Senator Pam Helming, R. Canandaigua, said the reality is that no family expects to find themselves in a situation where they need help, whether from job loss, illness, family emergency, or in the case of one young family in Canandaigua, a devastating rain event that damaged their home. Family Promise stepped in when they needed that help the most and helped them get back on their feet, said Helming, who added, she is among the legislators in Albany working to make housing more affordable for people and families. Once people get back on their feet, they deserve that opportunity to put down their roots, to build a stable future and continue living in the home and the community they love, Helming said. The county now provides temporary housing for the homeless in hotels, but that is not ideal, said Philip Personnel, Ontario County Commissioner of Social Services. The Schill Family Center will offer people shelter as well as respect, opportunity, and hope. It's an amazing and incredible thing, Personnel said. What's next in Ontario County? Molly Schill praised all who worked on this project and supported it in many different ways from the beginning. As the saying goes, we're all just walking each other home, Molly Schill said. How lucky are we that we can help our neighbors in need, and many are still in need. The Schill Cares Foundation and Family Promise Partnership is not done yet, as they're looking to start a similar operation in Geneva to walk even more people home. Ed Schill said a candle does not lose strength by lighting another candle. We need more candles, Schill said. We have a lot of heavy lifting to do. Mike Murphy covers Canandaigua and other communities in Ontario County. He can be reached at mmurphy@messengerpostmedia.com. Remarkable Rochesterians. Maggie Harris, born 1956. Maggie Harris has always worked with those most in need. A native of Pineapple, Alabama, she arrived in Rochester in 1990, having served in Lutheran church outreach projects for prisoners and for young people in Tennessee and Nebraska. A Lutheran deaconess, she ran the Community Lutheran Ministries on Joseph Avenue for 25 years. She has influenced the lives of hundreds of young people, providing them a place to do homework, to get food and clothing, to participate in summer programs, and to receive spiritual counseling and advice. There's a core of us who grew up with Miss Maggie, a young man she had helped said in 2015. And if you looked at the core, there's no question she has played a big role in our lives. She didn't give us a chance to fail. Memories. When summer meant a lakeshore trolley ride. Bob Marcotti, Rochester Democrat and Chronicle. Question. I recall the trolley that ran along Lake Ontario's shoreline from Charlotte to Manitou Beach in Greece. A beautiful ride in an open-air trolley with lengthwise seats to permit viewing of the lake and rugged shore. When was that line opened, and more importantly, when did it cease operations? Is there perhaps a publication which provides the answers? W.M. Canandaigua. Answer. The trolley was inextricably linked with a bygone era, before automobiles ruled the road, when Charlotte was still the Coney Island of upstate New York, and when the 8 miles of lakeshore to the west in Greece was studded with hotels, dance halls, beaches, and other sources of amusement for residents and tourists alike. And yes, there is a publication you should consult. Manitou Beach Trolley Days by William R. Gordon is on file at the local history division of the Rochester Public Library at the Rundell Memorial Building downtown. It is full of photos, facts, and fascinating anecdotes about the Manitou trolley. It began operation in May 1891. It was called the Grand View Beach Railroad then, and it had 7 motor cars and 7 trailers. All were open bench, 4-wheeled, hand-brake electric trolley cars, Gordon explains. When a 2,000-foot trestle across Braddock Bay was finished, the line ran nearly 8 miles from Charlotte to Manitou Beach. It was a scenic route along the beaches and ponds of lakefront Greece. People would ride it back and forth in summer just to enjoy the lake breezes blowing into the open trolley cars. But it served a more important purpose as well, Gordon notes. In the days before automobiles, it allowed scores of Rochesterians to buy lakefront cottages in Greece, where they could spend the summer while still working in the city. And it brought the tourists, spilling over from the resort at Charlotte to enjoy fishing, bathing, dancing, and picnics at Island Cottage, Crescent Beach, Grandview Beach, and especially at Manitou Beach, which featured a hotel, dance hall, tennis courts, stables, merry-go-round, pier, and other attractions. The trolley would close during the winter. During the 7 months or so of operation, runs would be made every 20 to 45 minutes, depending on the year, at speeds normally not exceeding 12 miles per hour. However, speeds were reduced to a maximum of 5 miles per hour at the Braddock Bay Trestle, which was often in deteriorating condition. There were often more minor problems. Young frogs trying to cross the tracks near the ponds in summer were crushed by the trolleys, making the track so slippery it became difficult to stop and start, Gordon noted. And conductors soon learned that the best way to handle drunks was to hustle them down the aisle and push them out the rear door. They would roll along the track in the sand, and none ever broke their necks or legs. At least no one ever brought a claim to the company. Maintaining the track, including some 9 trestles, exposed to the ravages of lakefront waves and ice, drained revenues, resorting in several name changes as owners went bankrupt and had to sell off. In 1904, a total of 241,124 people rode the trolley, producing revenues of $18,166 from tickets and $2,775 from cash. Of course, those were the days when you could ride all the way from Charlotte to Manitou Beach and back for 25 cents to enjoy a 75-cent dinner at the hotel. Automobiles and paved roads finally proved the death knell for the Manitou trolley, Gordon writes. In 1891, for example, when 1,500 members of Memorial Presbyterian Church went to Manitou Beach for an outing, they all went by trolley. In 1924, when 600 people from Gleason Works went there for an outing, they all went by car. The Manitou trolley made its last run that fall. According to newspaper accounts, the line was dismantled beginning in 1925. This column was originally published October 13th, 1997. Community. Harborfest returns with a tall ship visit. Also on tap are a ski team, circus performers, and other activities. Laura Nichols, Rochester Democrat and Chronicle. A tall ship will visit, and water skiers and circus acrobats will present shows during Harborfest, June 18th to 21st at Ontario Beach Park. Numerous other activities will include an America 250 sand sculpture display, carnival rides and games, live music, races, beach volleyball matches, a car show, and an antique fire equipment exhibit. The Letty G. Howard, an 1893 schooner and National Historic Landmark, will offer dockside tours and public sales at the Port of Rochester. Tours will be given between 10 a.m. and noon all 3 days. Sales lasting 1.5 hours will begin at 12:30, 2:30, and 4:30 each day, with prices ranging from $35 to $45. 2-hour sunset cruises at 7 p.m. Friday and Sunday will start at $64. The Letty G also will lead the boat parade of lights at 8 p.m. on Saturday. Ticket costs start at $65. The ship is owned by the South Street Seaport Museum in New York City, and the visit is part of a collaboration with the flagship Niagara League of Erie, Pennsylvania. For more information and to buy tickets, go to letty.org. X Squad Water Ski Show Team will perform in the Genesee River at 1 and 4 p.m. Saturday, June 20th, and Rock City Circus acrobats will display their talents at 1 and 4 p.m. Sunday, June 21st. Carnival rides and games will open from 5 to 10 p.m. Thursday, June 18th, and will be open from noon to 10 p.m. Friday and Saturday, and from noon to 6 p.m. Sunday. The sand sculpture display can be seen from 7 a.m. to sunset Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and sculptors may register from 9 to 11 a.m. Saturday to compete for cash prizes that will be presented at 4 p.m. Arts, crafts, and merchandise vendors will be open from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Friday and Saturday, and from noon to 5 p.m. on Sunday. Food and drinks will be sold from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Friday and Saturday, and from noon to 5 p.m. on Sunday. Wine, beer, and spirits tastings will be available at the same hours. People may ride the Denzel Menagerie Carousel for a fee all 3 days of the festival. The Charlotte Genesee Lighthouse will be open for tours from 1 to 5 p.m. each day for a fee. Antique fire equipment will be displayed from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Sunday. Saturday will be the festival's busiest day. Besides events listed above, it will include 7:45 a.m., the Fleet Feet Harborfest 5K, 9 a.m. The 10K begins. People may register at runsignup.com and then search for Harborfest for one or both races, which are primarily on the Genesee River Trail. At 8 a.m., the regional beach volleyball tournament will begin. Teams can register online. From 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., the Harborfest Rev On car show will be held. From 11 a.m. to 6 p.m., community organizations and business exhibits. From 1 to 3 p.m., tours of a Coast Guard vessel will be given at the dock. Arts, crafts, and merchandise vendors are sought for the festival. Contact Jamie at jme.lyn.g@hotmail.com. Vendors for the wine, beer, and spirits tasting tent also are wanted. Applications should be submitted at ontariobeachentertainment.org. New grocery store coming to downtown Rochester. Marcia Greenwood, Rochester Democrat and Chronicle. Downtown Rochester is set to get a small format grocery store at 255 East Main Street in Sibley Square. The store, called Acre Club, will replace DGX, a small format concept from Dollar General, which closed in 2025 after about 5 years in the space. On April 21st, the County of Monroe Industrial Development Agency approved a sales tax exemption of $28,169 for the project. The incentive will help cover part of a nearly $500,000 renovation, including refrigeration equipment and self-checkout kiosks. The store is the brainchild of Rochester native Zachary Harper, who recently returned to the city after living abroad for 15 years, including time in Europe. Harper told Comida board members he was inspired by the convenience of small neighborhood grocery stores overseas. For 5 years, my life was just walking downstairs, going to this small little grocery store, he said, one aisle up, one aisle down. After moving back, he said he was surprised to find no similar option within walking distance of his downtown home. I want to solve that issue. If you live downtown, you should be able to walk 5 minutes and pick up your groceries, he said. Acre Club will focus on groceries and everyday household essentials. Prepared food will not be a priority because it would require a full kitchen, Harper said. The store is expected to operate roughly from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. or 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. with no late night or early morning hours. Harper estimates the store will serve 250 to 275 customers daily, including downtown residents, workers, students, and transit riders. The project is expected to create about 3.5 full-time equivalent jobs. Arts. Penny and Bliss. A Rochester artist finds calm and grief in a dog's long life. Jim Memmott, special to the Rochester Democrat and Chronicle. You Can Never Die, a graphic memoir by Henrietta native Harry Bliss, is, first of all, a story about a dog and a man. The dog is Penny. She's right there on the book cover as sketched by Bliss. For 17 years, Penny doesn't exactly save Bliss's life, but she certainly stabilizes it. Penny gets Bliss out of the house and out of his head. Not that far out of his head. Bliss, who is 62, is a worrier, and even when he and Penny are having fun, he sees the Grim Reaper at the end of this line. These days, every time I see Penny, I'm reminded of the inevitable grief I most certainly will feel when she dies, he writes in a journal entry. I honestly don't know how I'll manage. Dog owners will understand. Anxiety is part of the pet package. The man in the memoir is, of course, Harry Bliss. His name may be Bliss, but he's not always happy. Then again, neither were his father or his mother. Genetics rule. But Bliss has had a brilliant career as an author and illustrator. There have been New Yorker covers galore. He's collaborated with comedian Steve Martin on book after book. He produces a daily cartoon, Bliss, that's seen widely. It all seems to start when he's 14 and stays up one night drawing his feet. When morning comes, he makes it to the schoolyard and says to the world and himself, I'm going to be an artist and I'm going to leave this place. Leave it he does, and the memoir tells his story, mixing cartoons, sketches, and excerpts from his daily journal. It works a kind of magic, drawing readers in, making them laugh, making them worry, making them think. It's a heavy book, 2 pounds 8 ounces, but not a heavy read. It's not a chronological memoir, one that begins with birth and marches through the life. It can bounce between happy and sad, and between. Bliss includes many of his journal entries. He includes sketches from his life. There's a brave candor throughout. Bliss doesn't hold back. Cartoons are interspersed throughout, many showing animals in charge. Bespectacled dog holding a manuscript tells a worried writer, "Glenn, I'm not just your editor, I'm also your best friend, and I'm telling you, lose the cat." In the beginning, Bliss addresses the reader. "If I can make a connection with you here in the pages that follow, we've got intimacy, and intimacy is my intention." Bliss is a Henrietta kid born and raised. He spends just a year, not a bad year, at McQuaid Jesuit High School. It's off to Sperry High School, where the library is his sanctuary. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that libraries and museums not only kept me from being incarcerated, but were also sacred places for me, he writes. At a very early age, whether I was conscious of it or not, I felt peaceful within their walls. Bliss lives in New Hampshire now, in what was the author J.D. Salinger's house. He and his wife, Sophie Dilloff, also share a house in Burlington, Vermont. He returns to Rochester often, and earlier this month, he gave a talk at Bleak House Books in Honeoye Falls. There are a lot of revelations in the memoir, perhaps especially about Bliss's parents. Jack and Rosalind Bliss, who both died in 2023, hated each other. Their parenting was far from textbook perfect. Jack was a brilliant illustrator, one of an impressive number of Blisses in Rochester. 11 by 2001 who have made a living drawing. That included Jack and Rosalind and his brother, who was also named Harry, and their children. A Korean War veteran, Jack was an angry, angry man. Case in point. On the drive with the children, Jack was so fed up with Rosalind that he made the kids get out, and he drove away. Spoiler, he came back. Rosalind had her own anger issues, and the person she was most angry with is her husband. They fought forever. Harry was 10 when he saw them strike each other. He stood there unseen, traumatized. What I'd witnessed was confounding, he writes, but there was also a sadness and a worry. In a recent Zoom interview, Bliss talked with me about surviving his fear-based childhood and about Rochester, his new dog Junior, and other things. Here are some excerpts from the conversation. Jim Memmott, I really like the book. Harry Bliss, I could also tell you that I really like the book. The book was very hard to curate, and I had a lot of help. My son and his partner Sarah helped me put it together. It took a long time. J.M., let's talk about your parents. H.B., I really miss them, which is odd because I was convinced while they were alive for the last 20 years of their lives that I didn't love them. I didn't have love for them. At least I thought that. But when they passed, it's so strange. It's such a complex, nuanced thing. But I began to long for them. J.M., the progress in the book toward empathy, maybe especially with your dad, is wonderful. But all that takes a long time. H.B., empathy surfaced for both of my parents, mostly as they were ill. But then after they died, even more so. That's the rub. It's like, oh my God, I wish they were still here so I can ask them these questions. J.M., in the memoir, you call the Memorial Art Gallery a fantastic museum. If you're ever unfortunate enough to find yourself in Rochester. H.B., I wish I could kind of take back that one piece. My mom would take us once or twice into the big city, into Rochester, and I have a vivid memory of really being awestruck, thinking that this was New York City. I go back to Rochester now. My brother John lives there, and my brother Charlie's still there, and I have family there. I'm like, these houses are so affordable in Rochester. J.M., how's Junior doing? H.B., he's doing well. He's great. He had a little GI issue all last week and the week before, and I got really, really worried about him. I took him to the overnight emergency vet, and they took blood, and they gave him some fluids, and he's 100% back. J.M., what are you doing now? HB. I hate being busy. I just can't stand it. That said, I finished another cartoon book with Steve Martin, and that'll be out next year. And you know, I do a daily cartoon. JM. Anything else? HB. My dad left so much art in his journals. It's fascinating. I talked to my wife about this, and I'm toying with thinking about this idea of a memoir about my dad, because the person he was in his journals was not the person that we all knew. And it's really interesting. Who we are. Who dresses better, Rochester men or Buffalo men? Remarkable Rochester, Jim Memmott, Rochester Democrat and Chronicle. I'm sitting in my chair scrolling the internet, and I'm invited to find out what Buffalo's best dressed men are wearing now. Tempting. I'm not a Buffalo man, but I could up my fashion game. Mostly I go with khakis that sag and well-aged sweatshirts and a variety of hats. I get away with what might be labeled out of the office casual. Not so the best dressed Buffalo man, I suspect. I don't click on the link to find out what he's wearing because I know that would open the floodgates to invitations to buy stuff, lots of stuff. Lacking information, I picture the best dressed Buffalo man sporting a coat and tie and shoes with tassels. He probably has a walking stick and a fedora. In the past, a Buffalo man didn't wear all of that to a Bills game. He just layered up his lucky sweatshirt over his lucky long sleeve shirt over his lucky t-shirt. Zuba's pants, added my friend Tom Bushnell, a former East Aurora man and a former Bills season ticket holder. Among recent Bills players, Mac Hollins was the most imaginatively dressed. A wide receiver during the 2024-25 season, Hollins once arrived at the stadium dressed as the Muppet character Animal. Other games, other outfits. There was no one like the often barefoot Hollins, who alas now plays for the New England Patriots. The dress code for male fans at Bills games has been lax, but I bet it will change with the new Highmark Stadium. The stadium has all the luxuries known to man, and the Bills are asking an arm and a leg for seats. I foresee Buffalo men in the stands sporting Seville Row suits with pocket handkerchiefs. When winter comes, the Buffalo man will slip into a mink coat, one that will keep him toasty warm. That Buffalo man won't wrinkle his pants by dive bombing a card table, but I'm sure he could pay a Rochester man to do the honors. One of the advantages of being a Rochester man is that you don't have to dress like a Buffalo man. If you're a Rochester man, you have options. The city was the home of Hickey Freeman, a men's fashion icon. Blazers, suits, rep, ties. After Hickey Freeman left Rochester, its place was taken by Rochester Tailored Clothing. If you want one, they'll make you a suit. A Rochester man can also go full Carhartt, overalls, Harbor Freight hat, attitude. Livingston County men in Geneseo, where I live, generally don't dress up. Though my friend Ron Hersman, who is retired from teaching at the college here, is the exception to the rule. He's the best dressed Livingston County man. Coats, ties, style. He could pass for a well-dressed Buffalo man, and he's certainly Hallmark Stadium worthy. The Bills' first home game for the regular season is on September 17th, starting at 8:15 p.m. I assume tailors will be on site for last-minute alterations. More bread. Apologies to Winfield Restaurant in Clifton Springs. I butchered their name in a recent column about restaurants that offer free bread with a meal. The mistake was all mine. And there's another entry to the free bread list. Mama G's in Pittsford Plaza. The restaurant recently relocated from East Henrietta Road. Donna Widera wrote, "The bread is freshly baked every morning, and the taste and texture invokes memories of the Italian bread that I used to bake with my grandmother many years ago." From his home in Geneseo, Livingston County, retired senior editor Jim Memmott writes Remarkable Rochester about who we were, who we are. He can be reached at jmemmott@gannett.com or Write Box 274, Geneseo, New York 14454. Literacy magazine in the Finger Lakes seeks submissions. Rochester Democrat and Chronicle. A literary magazine dedicated to capturing the spirit of the Finger Lakes is seeking submissions for its landmark 10th annual issue. Writers and visual artists with a connection to the area are invited to submit their poetry, fiction, nonfiction, memoir, and cover art to the editors at Bluff and Vine for consideration through July 31st. Co-founders and editors Alex Andrazik and Bethany Schneider launched the publication in 2017, and the annual anthology has grown to provide a showcase for both established and emerging voices who call the Finger Lakes home or draw inspiration from its waters, vistas, and diverse communities. The name is inspired by the rise of land that overlooks Keuka Lake as well as the region's sprawling vineyards. For the upcoming milestone issue, the editors are looking for submissions that reflect the diverse experiences of the region. Whether writing about the area's historic towns, its natural wonders, wine culture, or the quiet realities of everyday life in this part of Western New York, the magazine welcomes all perspectives. Visual artists are also encouraged to submit artwork with one piece selected to feature as the full color cover. Full submission guidelines are available at bluffandvine.com. Obituaries. I'm not able to read the whole listing for each individual, just their name, age, and city or town. For more information, call 716-821-5555. Martha Marcy Adams, 73, Irondequoit. William K. Bartlett Sr., 93, Brockport. Reverend Robert C. Bradler, 91, Irondequoit. Richard Camiso, Penfield. Thomasina M. Conger, 87, Rochester. Joseph V. Dixon, 81, Fairport. Jacob Marshall Dorner, 34, Webster. William A. Dykstra, Henrietta. Anna Maria Erickson, 91, Fairport. Robert R. Farnham, Pittsford. Donald L. Don Fuller, 86, Weir, New Hampshire. Reuben Hayes Bell, 83, Rochester. Gerald Johnson, 53, Rochester. Raymond Michael Lanny, 74, Webster. William Bill Liebenow, 68. Bert L. Lute, Cleveland, Tennessee. Catherine Mary Greenhill Mahaney, Rochester. Gal I. MacArthur, 85, Spencerport. Mary Catherine McCarthy, 84, Canandaigua. Leslie Medall, 83. Mary Neisner, 84, Raleigh, North Carolina. Jose Santiago Ortiz Sr., 61. Carl F. Oster, 98, Rochester. Desmond E. Phillips, 83, Henrietta. Robert Bob C. Phillips, 73, Irondequoit. Gerald Jerry Rachfall, Pittsford. Robert Edward Rodell, 83, Wayland. Joyce Rhoda, 83, Rochester. Ronald and Marilyn Schlosser, Gates. Maureen M. Sidmore, Florida. Joseph Robert Stolley, 88, Westlake Village, California. John Robert Van Nostrand, 82, Irondequoit. Richard Worth, 90, Irondequoit. Osmond L. Willis, 71, Rochester. Carol Shellman Wright, 95. Daniel J. Yargo, 91, Greece. Antonio Tony Butch Zani. You have been listening to a reading of articles and features from the Sunday, June 14th issue of the Democrat and Chronicle. Your reader has been Amy. Thank you for listening.